Well, folks, they finally did it. Wendy's has brought to life the most iconic SpongeBob SquarePants food item, the Krabby Patty. And let me tell you, folks, it has come out to absolutely rip-roaring, raving reviews.
It's not good.
This pretty much tastes exactly like identical to just a normal Wendy's burger.
I can't give it a pass, not even close.
Pretty patties outside taste better.
It's literally a normal Wendy's burger.
Just a normal burger.
Not even
And SpongeBob's not even cooking in the back.
It's just a Wendy's Dave Double, bro.
Yeah, they had a good burger, but then they did a collab with SpongeBob, and that's what ruined the burger. That's too bad.
This is just a stupid burger.
Ugh.
Please, don't run.
Yeah, not quite rave reviews. I might have been over-exaggerating a bit. In fact, it might be quite the opposite. The reviews have been rather underwhelming, as you might be able to tell. And this is not really all too surprising, given what Wendy's attempt at recreating the Krabby Patty was. Because literally all it was just their standard burger. It was literally just a Dave's single. Oh, excuse me, sorry. A Dave single with new secret sauce. Whoa. No, but seriously, obviously, nobody expected Wendy's to deliver the creme de la creme of Krabby Patty recreations. Obviously, nobody thought that a nationwide fast food chain was going to deliver that. But still, Wendy's went ahead and delivered the absolute bare minimum they possibly could by only providing a sauce that doesn't really even taste all that much different from their regular sauce. The new sauce for the Krabby Patty is some variation of a Thousand Island sort of dressing sauce, and I mean, it tastes different, but not different enough to warrant creating an entire new product line out of it. Of course, the funny part about this is that from the show, the Krabby Patty secret formula is not in the sauce, it's in the making of the patty itself. In fact, the only sauces that are on the burger are ketchup and mustard. So it's kind of funny that Wendy's went that route in order to represent the Krabby Patty in real life. And of course, they've also been getting dunked on for, having the ingredients wrong or having them out of order or not tucking in the pickles. But really, at the end of the day, all of that doesn't really matter, especially considering that the show itself hasn't really ever been straight on what order the ingredients go in.
Bun, then patty, followed by ketchup, mustard, pickles, ketchup, mustard, pickles, cheese, tomatoes, and bun, in that order.
Now, with that being said, regardless of the ingredients or their order, the bottom line is Wendy's severely under-delivered here when it came to creating the Krabby Patty. Now, I will say that the pineapple under the sea frosty, which was a part of the Krabby Patty meal, actually did come out pretty good. And, a lot of people seem to agree with me that that is a pretty good item, and it actually kind of exceeded expectations for what people had for it. I mean, I'm not even personally a big fan of Frosties in and of themselves, but that tasted pretty good. Adding the sort of level of freshness to the very artificial Frosty actually kind of worked. But when it came to creating the actual item from the show that people showed up to try, Wendy's just completely missed the mark. And the fact that Paramount, the parent company behind SpongeBob, greenlit this and said, oh no, this is perfect representation of Krabby Patties and exactly what we want, SpongeBob to be associated with, is insane. And it goes to show that Paramount will literally accept any sort of brand deal that you send their way for SpongeBob, so long as you have a few shekels left in your pocket. That's all that matters to them. And it's a shame, really, because there is a company that are experts at this, at recreating fictional food and beverage items and bringing them to life and actually meeting and exceeding expectations and living up to what they need to be, that Paramount already has a working relationship with. And this whole debacle of Wendy's devaluing the prestige of the SpongeBob brand and hurting the perception of what a Krabby Patty is and how good it can be, that could have all been avoided had Paramount decided to work with them. And of course, the company I'm talking about is Universal Studios. Universal and Paramount have a long-standing relationship that dates back pretty much all the way since Universal Studios Florida opened back in 1990 as Nickelodeon Studios, where they filmed a lot of their live-action Nickelodeon shows, was based right on property at the theme park. From there, you had a sort of Nicktoons themed attraction with Jimmy Neutron's Nicktoon Blast. Then you had Transformers The Ride, which of course is another Paramount property. And now you even have a SpongeBob store, even though the Jimmy Neutron ride is since dead and gone. And now here's the thing, folks. Before we get too carried away here, of course, Universal is a theme park. All right, we're not going to sit here and pretend that every single food item that they provide is of the most pristine and elite quality. It absolutely is not. However, to be fair to Universal, over the last decade or so, they've invested a ton of time and money into improving their food offerings. And really at the core of this has been creating more signature themed food items that actually relate back to the movie or TV franchises for which these restaurants are themed to. Most recently, you have Super Nintendo World's Toadstool Cafe, which you can find in Japan and Hollywood. And both of these restaurants have food items across the board, not just one or two, but food items across the board that are very much so themed to the world of Mario. Before that, you had the restaurants at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, from the Three Broomsticks to the Leaky Cauldron, and most notably, and really the case in point example that proves that Universal is capable of bringing a Krabby Patty to life, is the recreation and adaptation of Butterbeer. A drink item that appears fairly often throughout the Harry Potter books and a few times throughout the Harry Potter films, and carries with it a connotation of being something that literally everybody in Hogsmeade is dying for. They absolutely love it. And as a result, of course, most die-hard Harry Potter fans have always dreamed of being able to try Butterbeer, leaving Universal with some high expectations and some big shoes to fill in order for this product to deliver. But here's the thing, it's not just that the item had to live up to a certain level of quality and had to be a good beverage. It couldn't just be a good beverage. It couldn't just be a great beverage, in fact. It had to taste otherworldly. It had to taste out of this world, because you have to remember, where does Butterbeer come from? It comes from the Wizarding World. It comes from a fictional place. It cannot taste like something that exists on planet Earth or you can go get from your local grocery store. It has to taste wholly unique, and Universal executed on both of these points masterfully. It is what has resulted in Butterbeer not only being a smash hit from day one, but has allowed it to continue to be the most popular beverage item in any sort of theme park in the entire world. So when it comes to finding somebody who's capable and understands what's expected when it comes to recreating the Krabby Patty in real life, there's no better option and no better people out there who know what they're doing than the people over at Universal Studios. So let's pretend for a second that Paramount actually gave a hoot about the prestige of their brands, in particular SpongeBob, and instead of going to Wendy's, just whoever had the most amount of doubloons that they were tossing Paramount's way, and instead went to somebody who actually cared about delivering a high quality product. And let's say they did go to Universal in this scenario, what would Universal create in order to bring the Krabby Patty to life and deliver a satisfying product? Well, for Universal, it really comes down to three key aspects, right? In order to meet people's expectations, it has to meet a few bars in a few categories. And one of those is the look. Does it look the part? If it isn't looking the part of the Krabby Patty, then it isn't a Krabby Patty. It's that simple. It does not matter how good it tastes. At the end of the day, that's just a good burger. If it doesn't look like a Krabby Patty, it isn't a Krabby Patty. That's just reality. And when we look at what Wendy's delivered, this sad, floppy, soggy piece of meat, that does not look like a Krabby Patty, okay? If we compare it to what the Krabby Patty looks like in the show and what people's perception or idea or image of a Krabby Patty is, it does not look anything like that. Now, we had mentioned the ingredients, right? How they were out of order, how maybe they didn't have all the right ingredients in order to create the Krabby Patty. But honestly, I don't think that that's super imperative here. So long as it looks like a Krabby Patty, it still works. Now, having most of the correct ingredients is still important, because obviously it can't look like a Krabby Patty if it doesn't have the lettuce and the tomatoes and the onions. But if it means removing an ingredient that is lore accurate, but is taking away from the taste of this burger or is taking away from the aesthetic looks of this burger, then Universal will do it. And that's totally fine. When you think about Butterbeer, of course, Universal took a lot of creative liberties when it came to creating Butterbeer that did not match up with the descriptions of the product in the books, right? I mean, there are plenty of examples of the description of the item in the books being different than what Universal actually delivered. And that's totally fine so long as, again, it looks the part. And when it comes to the Krabby Patty, outside of it looking sad, right? Obviously it needs to look a little more fluffy than that, right? A little more built up and a little more stable. One thing that Wendy's was missing was the sesame seed bun. When is the Krabby Patty ever represented without a sesame seed bun? That is imperative to have when creating the Krabby Patty, and Universal would 100% deliver on that. But it's not just good enough to have the look. It can't just look like a Krabby Patty and that be good enough, of course. But there is an external factor at play here that also impacts how people are going to perceive this food item, and that's the atmosphere. If it doesn't feel like they are in Bikini Bottom, it does not feel like they're in the world of SpongeBob, again, it's going to be harder for them just subconsciously as consumers to believe that this is actually a Krabby Patty and not just some regular burger or just some product. Of course, when you're sitting in Toadstool Cafe, you are believing that you're in the world of Mario with all these toads running around and the architecture and the theming. You believe that you are actually in the world of Mario while you're eating that food. When you're having a Butterbeer in Hogsmeade, it's easy to believe that you're in the world of Harry Potter. Again, all subconsciously, of course, you don't really actually believe you're there. But when you think about, am I having this actual food item from this world, your mind is going to subconsciously enjoy that food item more the more immersed you are in the world. And there's no question about it, folks. Universal could easily deliver a Krusty Krab restaurant that not only is lore accurate to the best of their ability, but also really makes you feel like you are sitting in the middle of Bikini Bottom grabbing yourself a Krabby Patty. It also wouldn't even be that hard or difficult for Universal to either put a screen or an animatronic in the back of the restaurant to make it seem like SpongeBob's back there actually cooking your burgers for you. There you go, buddy. I solved your problems. You can even have the occasional red alert when Plankton's trying to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula, right? And have the whole restaurant go on lockdown and have the lights start flashing red and have SpongeBob screaming at the top of his lungs, right? And have a little Plankton puppet just sort of floating around the restaurant, right? I mean, these are all things that could easily happen in a theme park restaurant that would add to the immersion, add to the fun, and add to the atmosphere that Universal is delivering that once again make you enjoy your burger even more. And of course, if Universal did actually create their own Krusty Krab, they would almost certainly have a full-on menu, the galley grub, with plenty of other food items beyond the Krabby Patty that they would sell as well. From kelp shakes to pretty patties, I'm sure that they would have plenty to pull from. I mean, of course, also, if Paramount allowed them to, Universal could even go ahead and create the entirety of Bikini Bottom outside of Krusty Krab to even further immerse you if given the opportunity to. But here's the thing. The look and the atmosphere are great. They're imperative. They're important. But they can only take you so far if you don't nail the final piece of the puzzle, and that's the taste. If the product does not taste good, you obviously fail. But it's not just tasting good. It has to taste unique. It has to taste different. It can't just taste like any regular burger. It can't taste like just some normal burger I can get at a restaurant. It has to be something special. And believe it or not, this is actually a difficult balancing act, right? Because in attempting to make something that tastes special or unique, you often run the risk of creating something that doesn't taste good. So it's not very easy to necessarily make something that tastes good, but also unique, right? I mean, there's a reason why most restaurants you go to for a specific type of cuisine are often going to sort of taste the same and are going to offer most of the same stuff, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's really the name of the game for these chain restaurants. However, there is one case in point example of this overambition going wrong, and that would be Disney World's Star Wars drink, Blue Milk. Disney was so overly focused on delivering something that tasted unique, which, don't get me wrong, they definitely did deliver on, but they sort of failed in delivering something that tasted good. Now, I know some people like Blue Milk, but by and large, Blue Milk has been a complete disaster when compared to the success of Butterbeer, right? It was supposed to be more or less Disney's sort of answer to Butterbeer, their sort of version of it. And unlike Butterbeer, which any given day is going to have lines down the street, blue milk, you'll rarely see anybody in line trying to get this drink item. So, yeah, that's all you really need to know about that. And of course, when it comes to creating the Krabby Patty, you don't want to run the risk of this overambition either. Of course, making a burger taste unique is not necessarily the easiest thing in the world, right? Most burgers you eat only taste different usually because they have some sort of strange topping on them, right? And that's usually what's making the big difference. But as we know, the ingredients make up a big portion of not only the lore of the Krabby Patty, but also in its aesthetics, right? You can't just add some crazy big topping onto this that changes the way that the Krabby Patty looks. It won't be believable at that point. So you can mess around with the toppings, but you have to be careful in maintaining the look if you're going to do that. So really, where Universal has to get creative and where they can get creative is in the patty itself. And to be honest, I mean, that kind of works out in Universal's favor because, of course, when it comes to the Krabby Patty secret formula, well, that is pertaining to the patty itself. So it works out for Universal that that is where they need to implement the changes, right? And where they need to make this burger taste unique, right? They have to do something with the patty itself, where that means making it a vegetarian or vegan burger, where that means adding extra ingredients into it. Think about like a Vic Damone burger where you go ahead and you put onions and cheese inside of it. Whatever it may be, Universal needs to find a way to make that patty taste different, and not just different, but make it feel like that realistically could be the taste of a Krabby Patty. More likely, you might want to go the direction of something sort of seafood related, given the fact that, of course, SpongeBob and the Krusty Krab exist underwater. There's a lot of options for what you can do with the patty. Certainly a lot of options that could probably blow up in your face if I had to imagine. But again, I'm not a chef. I'll tell you that right now, okay? So I'm no expert on this. But what I will say is that I know there are plenty of options out there for Universal to pursue where they could make this burger taste different and good at the same time, thus living up to the expectations that people have for it. From those clips that I showed in the beginning of people reviewing the burger, what was the most common thread among them? It was the fact that the burger did not taste special. It just tasted like a regular burger. It's important that if Universal or Paramount or anybody else is going to deliver on a Krabby Patty or any sort of fictional food item that is iconic and has this sort of big time brand image behind it, it's important that that item tastes unique and otherworldly while also tasting, of course, good. And not only did Wendy's not succeed in doing this, but they didn't even attempt to do this. And Paramount didn't even care on their part. They didn't even care if Wendy succeeded or not. They didn't even care if Wendy was going to even try and do that and to live up to the expectations and hype that, of course, a Krabby Patty burger would have behind it. And given Paramount's lack of care and respect for the SpongeBob property and the fact that they continue to dump it in a number of places that it really shouldn't be, or in places where it's continued to be lowered in its prestige and its brand reputation and its goodwill by dumping it into these regional theme parks that don't even really bring that much to the table, and Mall of America and American Dream, that really are dissuading Universal from even wanting to bring a SpongeBob land or ride or restaurant to their parks. Right? I mean, you hear it all the time that people say that Universal should bring a SpongeBob land to their parks. But the problem is that Paramount, the parent company, continues to run the brand reputation of SpongeBob into the ground year after year with these deals with Wendy's and with these expansions to regional theme parks within the United States, right? There's money to be had. There's a gold mine, of course, to be had with an elite level, highly themed SpongeBob land. But Paramount has really gone ahead and thrown that opportunity out the window. Is it possible that Universal might still take a crack at it if Paramount allows them to? Which I'm sure they will, as long as Universal is paying them enough. Maybe, but who knows? It carries with it a significant amount of risk, and it being a third-party property, when Universal themselves, of course, is a movie studio and a television studio in and of themselves. They have their own properties that they want to put in the parks and they want to promote. And the only times they really want to go out to third parties is when they know it's going to be a slam dunk, surefire hit. Think about Harry Potter and Nintendo. Does SpongeBob fall into that bucket? I don't know. I'll let you decide. Anyways, I'll see y'all next time. And if you're interested in learning more about the debacle that was Disney World's Star Wars Blue Milk drink, go ahead and click the video in the middle of your screen right now, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.